Hi, everyone, and welcome to the HR Happy Hour Network. This is the play-by-play podcast hosted by myself, Jack McFarlane, and Nick Schlemmer.
Hey guys, how's it going?
We have a very exciting episode for you, a very educational episode. It's over a hot button. I guess you call it hot button. We'll debate if it should even be political, but today we're going to be talking all about the recent trade war and tariffs. I'm sure every time you go on the news, you've heard two or three things about tariffs. If you go on Google News right now, I guarantee you there are at least 7 articles about the tariffs. So today we're just going to kind of explain what a tariff is, the timeline of this trade war between the U.S. and what the current effects are and what the future effects could be from this. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, let's jump right into it. Hi, my name is Nick Schlemmer, and you are listening to the play-by-play on the HR Happy Hour Network, sponsored by WorkHuman. If you've ever wondered what good can come of AI for HR, meet Human Intelligence. It uses uniquely authentic data of WorkHuman's #1 rated employee retention platform to uncover insights into good culture, skills, performance, and more. It also helps coach employees on what good peer-to-peer recognition looks like, turning every good job into better engagement, retention, and overall well-being. And it surfaces feel-good stories that illustrate the best of your company's culture. Learn about WorkHuman Intelligence at workhuman.com. That's WorkHuman.com. And join their force for good. Thank you for joining us and enjoy the episode. Alright guys, we're back. And Jack, I figured we start off the episode just by going over what is a tariff. So tariffs in general are those direct taxes on the goods imported from other countries outside of the U.S. to the U.S. for our use. And the goal of a tariff is to promote keeping products and using products from the U.S. in the U.S. instead of getting those products from elsewhere across the globe. And Jack, I want you to dive just a little bit deeper into that, but that's kind of the general basis of what a tariff is.
Yeah, exactly. So just like Nick said, tariffs promote domestic industries. So, for example, you can set a tariff on steel. So any import from, we're pretending that we're the U.S. Right now. So we set a tariff on steel. Any import of steel from China, anywhere, but China is our big example today, basically means that we would pay extra on that imported steel. So instead, we should make it domestically, which, as we all know, and we'll get into, can make things a lot more expensive for the U.S. consumer because China is known to have a lot cheaper manufacturing. So when you produce domestically in the U.S., it's just going to be more expensive. And that's one of the downsides short term of a tariff. But yeah, I mean, a tariff can be set on anything, really. Any good that you import can get a tariff. Right now, it's steel, solar, EVs. Those are the major ones right now. But as we'll get into, Biden even set tariffs on fruits and nuts coming in from China. So it can be any import, not just the steel industry, which is one that we see major right now. Another thing that we are going to briefly mention is a duty. So duties are often confused for tariffs. They are similar, but as a tariff is a direct tax on imports, duties are indirect taxes, and they can be for imports and exports, both. The main goal of a duty is to just raise money for the government. While tariffs do that as well, they, like we said, support local industries and they can fund public programs, while duties are primarily to raise money for the government. That's why it's on imports and exports. So that's kind of the basic rundown. Tariffs, direct taxes on imports. That's all you really got to know. I know it can be confusing. You just got to simplify it down. If we're bringing in grain from China, we're paying extra if there's a tariff on it. So let's jump into this timeline. Start us off, Nick. When did this whole trade war kind of start?
Yeah, so it started back in 2017 when the U.S. ran an investigation into Chinese theft. It was found to be around $600 billion a year. Go ahead.
Quick note, this is intellectual property. So this is not like I'm stealing I'm stealing your
Hmm.
Xbox, Nick. This is Chinese theft of U.S. intellectual property, $600 billion a year.
Exactly. And that started back in 2017. The first tariffs were rolled out January 2018 to the beginning of 2018, primarily 30% on solar panels. I know solar panels kind of took a big jump, kind of became more of a thing around that time. So that kind of makes sense how we were putting a pretty high tariff on solar panels. Um, but then Beijing hits the U.S. with tariffs, which includes, how Jack mentioned, 15% on fruits, nuts, wine, steel pipes, and then 25% on some meats like pork, and then also recycled aluminum. So, like Jack said, it's broad spectrum of what tariffs can be put on consumables, non consumables. And this is just the beginning of the timeline. Like I said, I'm only in 2018 right now. And then Jack's going to bring us on closer to the present. But
Yeah, so before we move any further, I do want to make a quick note. We're not taking political sides here. I am a firm believer that this shouldn't even really be a political argument. You'll see in a second. It's 2018 is Trump administration, Biden administration also put tariffs on, and then Trump again. So it's if you really look into it, both sides agree on the tariffs on China. So we are not being political at all. We're not going to tell you what we think. We are just giving you the facts. So you can make those decisions for yourself. Arguably, it shouldn't be an argument at all on political, if I'm being honest. And I am an econ major, so I know a little bit of what I'm talking about. I'm not just some kid rambling, but yeah. So 2018 was kind of the start. We hit them with solar panels. They hit us back with some ticky tack tariffs here and there, and that started this big trade war. Um, it was pretty small at first. Obviously, it took some time, a little bit of back and forth with smaller tariffs here and there. But the next big event um, was when the U.S. banned Huawei from buying parts from U.S. companies and components.
mm,
Um, Huawei is like their Apple, tech giant. It's a huge, huge company. That was a big deal.
yeah.
A lot of Americans had Huawei phones. You can't get them anymore. I even believe that they stopped allowing Google to be on Huawei because of this.
Hmm.
Um, I'd have to double check, but I'm 99% sure if you have a Huawei phone, you still can't have Google on it. And it won't even work in the US unless you had bought it pre um, tariff.
Yep.
So huge situation there because Huawei phones have really good reviews. They're apparently better than iPhones, better than Samsungs. They're apparently the best phone you can get. I'm that's just from what I've heard. I've never had a Huawei phone, but they're apparently like top of the line. So that was a huge
Yeah.
deal. And then the next big thing would be in 2020 when the US and China agreed to a trade deal, a 2-year trade deal. Basically, this deal, it's complex as all government things are, but the basis is China is going to buy $200 million worth of US product. Okay, it was specific, goods and services. We won't get into all that, but that was the deal. So 2 years, China's going to buy some money. So that was thought to maybe relieve some tension. Well, more time passes. Biden's now in office, and the U.S. has found out that China has bought almost none of what they said they were going to. I couldn't find an exact number of how many millions they spent, but from what I found, it was near zero. So China just
Hmm.
didn't hold up their end of the agreement, and that made the U.S. pretty mad. So then Biden raises tariffs on EVs by 100%, solar cells again another 50%, along with EV batteries, steel, aluminum, ship to shore cranes, and a lot of others. Those were the big ones by another 25%. So China didn't hold their end of the deal. Biden hits back even more strict tariffs. Um, More time. This was near the end of his administration. This was middle 2024. So now we're going to jump ahead to Trump is in office again, and he is going to hit a 10% tariff on all Chinese imports. Um, Same day China comes back, they do the same thing to coal, gas, and ag machinery. It's another big tariff. So that
Yep.
is probably when we all started to really hear about these major tariffs because that wasn't just like solar panels or EVs or whatever. It was everything from China 10%. Exactly 1 month later on March 4th, boom, another 10%
Hmm.
on all imports. Obviously, this is when people start getting pretty mad over in China. They start retaliating even more tariffs. And then that brings us to just a couple weeks ago, known as Liberation Day, quote unquote, where Trump raises to 34% duties on all Chinese imports. So, duty, like we said, is like a tariff. The main goal of this is to raise money for the government, but
Everything
also
going out of the
acts
U.S. Yeah.
everything coming into the U.S.
Mm.
from China. So right now, what the focus is on is if we are bringing things in from China. So basically, China, as we all know, the joke is like, oh, made in China, right? Everything's made in China.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it is a lot cheaper to produce in China than it is in the U.S. U.S. has regulations, minimum wage, um, quality of work environment. Like they have so many rules and regulations. It costs a lot of money. China is a lot more lenient on that stuff, and it's so much cheaper. Everyone knows, oh, that's made in China, right? So everything we're
100%.
bringing in right now has a 34% duty on it from China. In between this time, you had the Mexico and Canada tariffs. Those are off and on, and then threatening tariffs elsewhere. But we are focused mainly on China in this trade war. So don't let you know smaller headlines distract you from the main target. The target is China versus the U.S. right now.
Yeah.
And then this is ongoing. As recently as yesterday, there was another big moment in this trade war where the US came out and said, "Hey, we're talking with China. We're trying to set up some trade agreements. Things are moving in the right direction." Like an hour later after this announcement, China comes out and is like, "No, we haven't talked to the US at all." So I don't know, is it the US trying to make us feel better? Is it China trying to tell their citizens, "No, we're not talking to the Americans"? I don't know. That's just the most recent development. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Anything in the government, take it with a grain of salt sometimes. A lot of smoke screens. It's almost like the NFL draft that's going on right now. A lot of smoke screens, a lot of, talk just to cover up what's really going on. So that's kind of the latest development in this whole trade war, at least timeline wise. Why don't you talk about some of the current effects that we're feeling right now from these tariffs? I mean, they
Yeah.
the major tariffs has only been not even a month in, and we're already feeling some
Mm-hmm.
effects. What are those?
100%. Yeah. So some of those current effects, we've all seen it as soon as you walk into the grocery store or any store in that matter, the rising costs to all of us U.S. consumers. We've seen this everywhere. And like Jack said, it's ongoing. So who knows when it's going to slow down, speed up. It's fluctuating. Anything with the
Mm-hmm.
government like that can be very fluctuating. And then another big thing that this is doing, and it definitely makes it harder for specifically the Gen Z population who is looking to get into the workforce or that job market. The job market is tightening up quite a bit due to this economic uncertainty. Pricing and everything is going up, thus having a direct fallback right on jobs, new hires, things of that nature. And a big thing of Gen Z that's been pushed here in the last few years is entrepreneurship. I feel like Gen Z is really leading the way in that aspect of entrepreneurship and what we've been able to create as far as that goes. But most young entrepreneurs, they don't have enough money yet with these increasing tariffs to keep things afloat, keep things going. The supply chains and just the quality of their goods and things of that nature may drop or decrease just because the price of everything, like Jack mentioned, with 30% increases on everything, it's going to make it challenging. And Jack, I don't know if you have any talking points or anything like this, but it's going to be interesting to see what the future holds for our generation in this.
Yeah. Let me circle back to the job market real quick, just because I have a little
Yeah.
bit of personal experience. So, um, just over a month ago, I was applying for internships. I've been applying for internships for a long time now, and it's already competitive. Once the rumors of the tariffs started happening, companies just stopped responding. They stopped opening applications, everything. You could not get in touch with anybody. So I know for a fact that that is still going on, and it is very competitive. And like Nick said, a lot of Gen Z is starting to graduate college. Um, we will both be graduated next year
Mm-hmm.
and looking for professional jobs. Hopefully, the job market is not as compressed. Companies are
Yes.
just scared, right? Companies at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day are are people run by people that don't always know what's going on. I mean, look at just the stock market or even crypto, it has been so up and down with these tariffs because no one really knows what's going on, how long it's going to last, what the long term effect is. But a lot of people are panicking just due to the high price of everything.
Yeah.
Like Nick said, everything's more expensive. Supply costs. It reminds me a lot of COVID. So remember when COVID
Yes.
happened, people
Yes.
stopped working, which meant there were not as much production worldwide. It led to shortages in toilet paper, computer chips, everything got expensive. Cars. Remember, you couldn't go to a
Yeah.
dealership and see a car in the lot. So it reminds me a lot of that in a way.
Hmm.
It's obviously different, but in a way, it reminds me of that where you'll see certain areas lose production, which then increases price everywhere. It's a weird, ripple butterfly effect.
It
Um,
is.
and then let me circle back to the entrepreneurs as well. So it is really hard for these young entrepreneurs, like Nick said. A lot of them just don't have the funding yet because they're young, right? It's hard to, Apple and Microsoft, they started in garages, right? They didn't have money for even a small office. Amazon started in his garage, folding boxes on his knees. It's hard when you're a young entrepreneur with no paycheck. Um, a lot of them rely on Chinese manufacturing just because it is
Yeah.
cheaper. I think you've seen a lot of adaptation though with that. A lot of entrepreneurs are learning the hard way, but they're learning nonetheless how to adapt. And times
Hmm.
like this, they're going to different countries. They're bringing U.S manufacturing. They might have to produce less but higher quality stuff. So in a way, that's kind of a silver lining of you're learning the hard way, but it's a great lesson to know when it comes to being a young entrepreneur. I think you could see
100%.
it as a positive. I mean, obviously, it's always a mindset when you're in a tough time like this
Yeah.
because you don't know how long it's going to last. You really don't. Um, but I think they're doing a pretty good job for the most part, the successful ones of adapting, and that's a great skill to have.
Hmm.
Um, the last current effect I want to give you guys before we jump into what the ideal future would look like in this case is actually from the first tariff. So it's been 6 years now since those 2018 tariffs went into place. And a lot of people are wondering, well, did they even work, right? Tariffs take a long time to work. You're not going to see this
Yeah.
turnaround in a couple months, especially when China has such a lead on manufacturing. It's not going to be like, oh, in the next 5 months, US is going to be the number one, you know, in whatever
Yeah.
industry again. Um, but there was a study done by the Coalition for Prosperous America. They are a nonprofit and they work with American manufacturers and farmers. That's kind of who they represent. This was also posted on the White House website, whitehouse.gov. Um, this study found that the tariffs from 2018 actually did strengthen the economy and lead to significant reshoring of steel manufacturers specifically. So you saw, I remember reading there was one in Louisville, there was one in Texas, and there was one more. There was three major steel manufacturers that moved back to the U.S. It created somewhere around 4,000 jobs, and then
Hmm.
200 jobs and 300 jobs. So it was like a major plant and then two smaller plants. So about almost 5,000 US jobs. It did strengthen the economy a bit. Once again, you have to take it with a grain of salt. This says it was a success, and technically it was. It did bring
Yeah.
some manufacturing back, it did help the American steel industry, but it wasn't ideal. So, in an ideal world, the effect would have been much bigger. Now, it was a
Yes.
smaller tariff. Like right now, you know, it's pretty intense. Back in 2018, it was just the solar and then the little bit of steel later on. But it did work in the end. Now take it with a grain of salt, like I said, because it wasn't perfect, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
walk us through. Let's pretend that in an ideal world, these tariffs work exactly like the U.S. wants them to. What
Sure.
would the future effects of a perfect world look like for us?
Sure. And I mean, I think the first thing that we want to start off with is the goal of making that perfect for the US. So overall, it would be to set up the US as kind of a global leader
Mm-hmm.
in the imports and exports industry.
Yeah.
So, not story short, importing less from China and exporting more to them, keeping the US a little bit higher up on that totem pole than China and all those
Yeah.
other.
Reducing the trade deficit.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, boost that domestic manufacturing, thus creating more jobs, like Jack mentioned with the steel there. If you even get, and like Jack mentioned, only 3 different companies from steel came back, and that created thousands of jobs. Imagine if we can get 10, 15 companies to localize in the US. That's thousands and thousands, pushing hundreds of thousands potentially in jobs. Um, and yeah, Jack, if you want to jump in, anything to say there?
Yeah, no, I think that's great. You'll also see, with the US becoming, ideally a global leader once again, we want, stronger position in global trade. I know I mentioned it slightly earlier about the Mexico, Canada, and threats on other countries. That is all to build the US's global trade position up. Like Trump and his administration want the US to be a powerhouse. I'm sure we all
Yes.
know that. Make America great again, keep America great again, whatever the slogan is. Nowadays, it's kind of always changing. Who knows? But yeah, basically, if you were to sum it up, U.S. number one is the goal of all
That's the
these
goal.
tariffs. Um, Other smaller goals would be diversifying the supply chain and upping quality of goods. A long time made in China, the joke is that it's just not that high quality, but
Yeah.
it's cheaper to make. So overall, you'd want to diversify the supply chain and improve the quality of it. And then finally, kind of, you can see the theme in the tariffs with EV, solar panels, steel. The U.S. wants to be a tech industry leader, um,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of these tariffs are aimed towards that, the major ones. So
Yes.
that goes along with the U.S. being number one in imports, exports, trade position, but specifically tech leading. The US wants to be known as tech leading and crypto leading for that matter as well. I'm sure people have seen a lot about that in the news. I know
Mm-hmm.
Trump just came out with his own cryptocurrency. He has said multiple times on his campaign and now that he wants the US to lead the world in crypto, and that just goes hand in hand with technology. So those would be, all the ideal effects from these tariffs. Once again, it's going to take years, okay? I have read multiple things about this. Even if it works out perfectly, it'll take past even Trump's administration uh, to get to that point
Mm-hmm.
of efficiency, just because it takes so long when you're dealing with a major economy like China, where they have such an advantage when it comes to
Yep.
production. So, who knows what the future holds? All we can do is be optimistic and just hope that it's all heading in the right direction and, learning to adapt like young entrepreneurs. That is maybe the best skill to learn right now is adaptation. Take it day by day and just roll
100%.
with the punches. And
Mm-hmm.
I say just keep a good mindset. That'd be my one piece of advice to everyone listening. If, times are tough for everybody. So if you just have the right mindset about it, you can turn it into a positive and hopefully it turns out good for everyone.
Very well said. I'm just going to completely agree with Jack there. 100%.
All right, well, we're going to take a little break and then we're going to come back with everyone's favorite game time. It's been a while. I'm so excited. I know Nick's excited. We'll be right back.
Yes. Alrighty, guys, we are back, and we are bringing back the game time segment, one of our favorites. We haven't done it in probably 4 or 5 episodes. It's been
Yeah,
a good long
it's
time.
been a while.
And today I am hosting, Jack is participating, and I found a new one. So this is coming from a website called Play Factile. So Jack, I'm going to share with you my screen so we can see it. And for anybody watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see this as well, and you can play along with us. So let me go ahead and share my screen.
Okay.
But Jack, we are doing a Jeopardy style game
Oh,
today.
no. Okay.
We're going to see how much, so it's all in money amounts. We're just going to see how much you can do. We'll just keep it
Mm.
to, let's go. What do you want to do? 10, 12 questions, see how many you can get right.
I think 10's a good
10's a
number.
good
Let's
number.
do all the 4 and 500
All the 4 and
questions. I think
500s.
that'd be
Okay.
good.
So Jack's going to
Um,
take it up a notch with
wow.
those.
Okay, I'm pretty nervous. I
All
hope
right. So,
I
so
hope I can do
Jack,
it. Oh
you
my
can
goodness.
see we've got a few
Yeah.
different categories: candy, TV shows, music, movies, games, and sports. I've looked at a
Okay.
few of them. I like this. I like the style they have here.
Oh
So,
gosh.
Jack, go
Okay.
ahead. Select your first 4 or 500 question, and we'll get the
Wow.
ball rolling.
Wow. I think I'll start left, work my way right with the 400s. Let's go with candy for 400.
Candy for
I'm a little
400.
nervous. Seeing TV shows spelled with a Z and an S is definitely interesting. Um, let's see what this question is. So,
All right, here we go. Candy for 400.
what classic candy was not invented? Oh, was invented by a dentist, not a brand name. Okay, okay, I've heard this before. So when you say the answer and I'm wrong, I'm gonna know it. But I've definitely heard this. Okay, think. Oh, pixie stick.
Pixie, here we go.
Pixie stick. Cotton candy. I knew
Cotton
it.
candy,
No.
no.
Oh, I had heard that before because the whole joke is like that rots your teeth faster than any candy. It's just straight sugar. That's why I thought pixie stick.
Yep.
Dang it. All right, let's go to TV shows with a Z and an S on it. Um, I'm not a huge TV person, but maybe I'll get lucky.
TV shows for 400?
I think my goal is to get 5 questions right.
All right, I think you
Let's
can
see.
do it.
Let's hope. All right, let's see it. What Nickelodeon show is popular for the quote, "Hug me, brother"? They say brother, but it sounds like brother. It's gotta be Drake and Josh. That's my final answer. It's gotta be Drake and
Final
Josh.
answer?
Yeah, it's got. Yes.
Ding, ding, ding.
Oh, what a great show! What a great show. Okay, 1 for 2.
One for two.
There we go. We're on pace.
All right.
Okay. All right. I love that show. I don't watch much TV, but that's one of them I do watch. So I got lucky. Let's go music.
Music for
Hopefully it's
400.
country
Here we go.
music. What Ariana Grande song hit #1 Billboard in 2018? Okay.
As an Ariana Grande fan,
I gotta think. 2018. What songs were popular? I really gotta think about this one. So I'm gonna think out loud here. You guys can get my thought process. So I know Seven Rings was around then. I know Break Up With Your Girlfriend, I think, was around then. There's one more that I can't think. Oh, Thank You Next was maybe around then.
Okay.
Oh my
What
gosh,
are we going to
2018.
guess? 2018, #1 Billboard by Ariana Grande.
That was 6 years ago. I mean, that it could even be songs before that, like Bang Bang. I don't remember that. I feel like it's older than 2018 though. I'm gonna go Break Up With Your Girlfriend. That's what I'm going with. Break Up With Your Girlfriend. Oh please. No.
Thank you next.
Oh, I said it. That was my second guess. I couldn't remember which one came first. Man, I feel like I'm gonna give myself half a percentage of a point for saying. Okay, let's go to movies for 400.
Movies for 400. Here we go.
Wow, man, that's gonna haunt me. In what movie does an elf try to find his father? Oh, thank goodness. I mean, it says it right there. It's Elf.
Yep.
Great
Elf.
movie. Yeah, that movie's fantastic. I love that movie. But do you rank that as your best Christmas movie, Nick? I'm curious. I know we're nowhere near Christmas. A lot of people say that's the best.
I wouldn't say it the best. Personally, I like the Santa Claus movies.
Oh, that one's good too.
I
think
yeah.
my list goes Grinch with Jim Carrey, then
Solid.
Santa Claus, then Elf.
Yep.
Like,
Elf is very good. You know, you can't
movie.
go. I love the spaghetti with chocolate sauce and
maple syrup.
Yeah,
yep. Incredible. Yeah, great movie. All right,
all right, Jack. You're 2 for 4.
Though. I'm on pace.
You're on pace.
Okay, games and sports. I feel like is going to be my best chances.
Games for 400. Here we go.
Okay. In what game can you race others? Oh, as Nintendo characters. Yeah, it's Mario Kart. 100% it's Mario Kart. It's got to be. Yeah, let's go. Okay,
Ding,
these
ding,
400
ding.
questions. Oh, yeah. Mario Kart's, I haven't played that in a while. One of the best
I haven't
Wii games,
either.
so that's for sure. That
One of
game
my
was-
favorite pastimes during like 1st through 3rd grade recess.
Yeah, Mario Kart. Oh, yeah, great game. All right, sports for 400. If I don't go 2 for 2 on sports, I will be sad.
Here we go.
I got it. A shuttlecock is used in which sport? Oh, baby. Badminton all the way. Dodging shuttlecocks left and right. Oh, there we go.
I did not know this one. I had no idea.
Oh, yeah, that's classic. Classic badminton. I'm more of a pickleballer myself, but, you know. Shuttlecock classic. So I'm what? I'm did I get 4 right?
You've got 4 right.
Oh,
Yep.
one more.
4 for
Come on.
6.
I can get one more in these last 5. All right, back to candy for 500.
Back
Now
to
I'm
candy
getting
for
nervous. So
500. Here we go.
that first one was tough with the cotton candy. What was the first candy ever made?
This is
Oh
challenging.
my god! Oh my gosh, bro! First candy ever made. It's still around today. It says. I've also realized I need to answer in the form of questions. I should be losing points. Focus. What was the first candy ever made? It's gotta be something that's just awful. Because way back in the day, they didn't have much to, they didn't have much to be that happy
Yeah,
about. I feel like it's some horrible candy that they were like, wow, this is the best. I'm thinking like black licorice. No offense, Grandpa. I know you love that.
he does.
I'm thinking licorice. I'm also thinking like not Laffy Taffy, but saltwater taffy maybe.
Okay, yeah, it's
But
been around a
saltwater
long
taffy,
time.
I think, is way too good to be the first. I gotta go licorice. It's just
Licorice, all right.
that's my final answer. What is black licorice?
Nico
wafers. What is that?
I haven't had this. I'm gonna have to try
If
it.
anyone's had a Nico wafer, please confirm if it's horrible. I feel like my logic was semi-sound there. You know, wow, that was tough. The candy is very, very tough. But I just do one more. Come on, Jack, you can do this.
One more.
TV shows with a Z.
TV shows.
Okay. What is Sheldon's last name in The Big Bang Theory? Okay, I know it because I've watched all of Big Bang Theory. I've seen all of Young Sheldon, and I'm
Nice.
almost all the way through Georgie and Mandy's first marriage. Love that show's the best of the 3. It's Cooper. What is Cooper?
Perfect.
Oh, yeah, all my Paramount Plus watch time is paying off. Okay, all right. Now everything out from here is just a bonus. I've hit my goal.
You've hit 5 out of
Let's
5
go
out of
music.
10.
I need revenge on music right now. What is the song by Eminem that mentions mom spaghetti? Okay.
I'm thinking of 2 songs.
I know it. I had to think for a second. I didn't want to get it wrong. It's definitely, what is Lose Yourself by Eminem? It's got to be. Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
Let's go. Oh, I'm loving this Jeopardy quiz. If only Jeopardy was like this on TV, I'd feel a lot smarter.
I'd be a lot better at it.
I'd feel a lot smarter. Okay. Let's go to
Movies
movies.
for
I could
500.
get like, anything now is a passing grade.
Yep. Here we go.
60% is passing. What year was Home Alone released?
Ooh.
Okay. It's definitely in the 90s.
I believe
definitely
it was
in the 90s.
before our time.
I know that the guy that plays Home Alone married London from Sweet Life and Sweet Life on Deck.
Yep.
That's a fun fact that I just learned the other day. But what year? So, if he was 5 years old, he's probably in his 40s now. He was probably actually like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
It's definitely in the 90s. I'm going to guess 1992. No,
No.
1990. Oh, so close. Dang it.
Good guess. You had a good logic there to try and narrow that down.
Yeah. Oh, 1990. I was trying to picture the Disney Plus when you go to play the movie on Christmas. I was trying to picture. I couldn't do it. I need to get these right. I would love to get more than 50% right.
We got 2 to go, unless we're going to throw in some bonus, but games for 500.
Let's go games for 500. What video game can you play various sports in your own house? Now, that is a trick question. There's multiple games. You could do Wii Sports Resort, anything on the VR. I've been playing a lot of VR golf. And it doesn't say with a motion controller. It could be like 2K or NFL.
I would say what's probably the most popular.
It's gotta be Wii Sports, 100%. That's my final answer. What is Wii Sports? Okay, yeah, it had to be baseball, tennis, golf, boxing, and bowling. Just unmatched, undefeated. When it comes to that game, the last one's sports. I've got to get this
for
right.
500.
Now I'm a little nervous. The first question. Oh no! What team did the Chicago Cubs play in the 1945 World Series? All right, I'm a
Well, you've
huge
got
baseball
30
fan.
teams. Well, was there 30 teams in 1945?
No,
No.
no,
Yeah, I was like,
and I pride myself on immense baseball knowledge. Although I don't stay up to date on Cubs knowledge,
yeah,
as you know,
Cubs
we are
baseball,
from
maybe
St.
not.
Louis and love the Cardinals. I got to think. 1945. Um, Now it could have been. I don't know if they've ever played the White Sox in the World Series. I
Mm,
don't think they have, but
I
maybe
don't
I heard
think so.
something
Two
about that one time.
Chicago
I don't.
teams.
Well, they're in NLAL, so it would be possible nowadays. But back then, I don't think they even had the White Sox. I gotta think really old teams. 1945. Let me check my flag back here. I know that we won it. I'm trying to date myself with the so we won it in 42. So that we won it in 44. Okay, so who would we have? So Boston would be. I think that's who we beat in 44. They'd be really good around that time. Yankees are obviously always really good.
hmm
Was Murderers Row around that time? I know it was back in the day. I'm leaning Boston. I'm gonna go Boston. I'm gonna go Boston.
Boston?
The Red
All right.
Sox.
Let's see.
Come on, come on, come on. Oh, the
The
Tigers.
Tigers.
Dang it. That is so sad. I can't believe I got the baseball one wrong. That ends on a sour note
Challenging
for me.
question.
Oh, that is tough though. I like that it was
Do you want
tough.
to? Do you want to end it on a positive note and go for another sports one, two, or
Let's
three
let
hundred?
let's end it on sports 300. I gotta end
Sports
on
three
a I
hundred.
gotta end
All
it
right.
on one correct. But I went what 6 for 10. So I
Yep.
beat my goal. But I gotta end it on a good note. Let's go sports 300.
All right.
Oh, okay, here we go. I got it right. It's going to be what are the names for Green Bay Packers fans? This is a great question to end it on. Round 1 of the NFL draft was last night. Round 2 tonight. It's in Green Bay, as a matter of fact. This is the perfect closing question.
Yep.
Obviously, what are the cheeseheads? They wear cheese on their head, literally. So there we go. Ended on a
Perfect.
good note. Man, that was fun, though. Wow. Man, some of those questions are gonna just keep me up tonight. That Ariana Grande one, I said it. I knew it was up there. The Home Alone one,
Yep.
that was fun. Yeah, thank you for that, Nick. That was a very, very good game time. Hopefully, you guys at home did better than me. Hopefully, you were playing along and got an 11 out of 11. We ended up doing 11, but I only went 6 out of 10. Let us know if you beat me. I hope you did. I hope everyone did better than me. But yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Good
Thank you,
job, Jack.
Nick.
That was a lot of fun. I'm excited that we can now put this on YouTube so people can kind of watch it along with us
Yes,
instead of
that's a
just
great
listening.
point.
They can see it as well. I wanted to throw that in there too and kind of
That's a
mix that in.
fantastic point. Yes, yeah. Like Nick said, head over to YouTube and check that out. You can see the Jeopardy board basically. If you're listening on audio, you can see the Jeopardy board and see the questions yourself. So that was a great touch.
All right, we just wrapped up our game time. Jack did very well with his Jeopardy quiz. Huge round of applause for Jack.
Hey
6 for
guys,
10, 7 for
60% is
11.
passing.
7 for 11. Yeah, he
60% is
passed.
passing. We are college kids here,
But as always, we are going to round it out with the quote of the show. And Jack, I've got one for you today from Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Oh, okay.
Yep. In the beginning of the show, we were talking about tariffs, what tomorrow holds, doubts of today, things of that nature. And he pretty much ties it all in with this quote. He said, "The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today."
I like that.
Like Jack said, lots of
Great
questions
quote.
today. Everything's up in the air. Only thing holding us back is just what we're thinking right now. We can look to the future.
Yeah, it's all
Who
about
knows what's
a
to come?
positive mindset, right? Just like we were
100%.
talking about adaptation with entrepreneurs. Positive mindset's the way to go. I love that quote. Always bring it with the quotes, Nick. Always. I mean,
Thank you.
it rivals Game Time as best segment. I think it passes Game Time as best segment. But yeah, thank you guys for listening once again. We truly hope you enjoyed and maybe even learned something today. That would be the ultimate goal, I think, and had some fun too. I guess that'd be good. Had some
That'd
fun,
be
have
fun.
some laughs. I know we had a blast recording. And yeah, we just want to say a huge thank you for listening once again and supporting. And we look forward to the next episode.
Of course, everything Jack said, and bye for now.